You are now listening to Talk Your Jits podcast.
Hello and welcome to Talk Your Jits podcast. This podcast is, as the name implies, all about Jiu Jitsu. I'm your host, Lamar Smith, and today's guest is a white belt who trains at Ralph Gracie Jiu Jitsu located in Waco, Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, Beorn Martyrq.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning, afternoon, same. How you doing today?
All right.
That's good to
You
hear.
had a good morning so far?
Yeah, so far, man, been up early, had another interview today to do about 7:30 this morning, so just been busy all morning.
Good.
But yeah, let's get it started, man. Go ahead and formally introduce yourself again if you want, and let's hear about your jiu-jitsu journey.
Awesome. So you're only interested in like just the jiu-jitsu or martial arts in general?
Whatever. It's all a part of you, so.
All right. Well, my name is Beorn Martyrq, and I think like pretty much everyone that has an interest in martial arts that didn't have a family doing it I think kind of grew up to love it or want to do it because of, film and TV and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I was first introduced to martial arts in general. My first love was actually kickboxing. I used to want to, as a teen, I used to want to compete. And I was never really able to, mostly because the family wasn't very supportive of it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to think. So, didn't really get to do much of anything until college. The only martial art that I really did for any length of period was a few months of Kuksul Wan in college.
Okay.
It turned out they had a club there, so I did it for about a semester and a half before I got too busy and had to get out of that. But I didn't really do anything consistent for a long period of time until after college. I kind of still had interest in it and had a friend that had interest. We would talk about it, martial arts in general. And he's the one that kind of introduced me to this concept of like hard versus soft styles of martial art.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a term I've heard anybody else really use because, what he called the hard martial arts were whenever you do something like a joint manipulation or something, it would be followed by a strike versus the soft style, which is you do some kind of technique and it's followed by a break or a submission, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really interested in this kind of submission style, and that's when I started looking into and trying different schools in Amarillo, where I lived at the time. Ended up going with extreme martial arts. It's a really good school, and it was at the time it was within walking distance of my house, so it worked out perfect. I was there for about a year and a half, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, I think the belt systems were quite a bit different than they are today. This was like 13 years ago. I don't know like when that changed, but when I was there, their belt system was more like the kids' belt system with the IBJJF.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up to like a high yellow belt while I was there. It was a yellow and black.
Mm-hmm.
Then, had to move away and got married, had a kid. Kind of had to stop training for a while. So I am just now getting back into jiu-jitsu again about 8 months ago, I think.
Okay. So so the Ralph Gracie, that's where you've been learning predominantly your jiu-jitsu, correct?
Correct.
So how has that been so far? So I know it's like kind of early and fresh into your career, but your jiu-jitsu career, but how has that been so far?
So far, I've really enjoyed it. It's trying to figure out how to put it in words. It's a great community. I love the martial arts community in general. and I really love the Jiu Jitsu community. They're one of the biggest group of friendly individuals that you will ever meet.
I totally agree. So, so do you? I guess. So I know you said you had the idea of competing. Have you ever competed while doing jujitsu?
I have. It's something that I kind of use as a short-term motivation to keep training, keep showing up to classes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I did one Naga event back in October,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was supposed to be at the IBJJF, the local international open, back at the beginning of December. But I had a little accident with a knife,
Oh no.
and I had to withdraw from the competition.
Oh, that sucks.
Yes,
Um.
I just got back into the training again after the incident this past week.
Mm-hmm. So what's been I guess for you, what's been the most difficult part about jujitsu?
I think it's what most people I think have is just being able to make that time commitment and keep showing up. The consistency is very difficult, especially in I think the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we enjoy doing it, but unless our line of work keeps us showing up, it's kind of difficult as family, life, work, and stuff tends to get in the way. Um, so I think it's kind of difficult to keep that as a top priority sometimes. Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
like luckily I have a kid, so uh, it's good motivation to keep showing up because I want him to do it.
Yeah. And how,
So it helps with that consistency when you want your kid to grow up doing martial arts. Kind of
yeah,
becomes more important.
it definitely does, change your aspect when it comes to that. Cause yeah, growing up for myself, no, that it really, I had like maybe one or two family members, like, distant relatives that did martial arts. And right now I'm still currently like the only one that does it. Um, nope, my cousin, I think he still trains. I'm not sure if he still teaches, but he does different forms of martial arts that I know for sure. But yeah, it's really hard to kind of stay motivated when, like, yeah, it's like you're the only one around you is doing any form of martial art or anything really in general. Like if you're doing it by yourself, it's kind of hard because you don't have that, like you're not technically not cool with your teammates just yet, so you just kind of have like you're just kind of like out in the world by yourself for a while. So it can get difficult to stay motivated to do a martial art for sure by yourself. But yeah, it's you just got to really be consistent. Consistency, like you said, is a major thing. I'm sorry.
I find for me, like, it really helps to have the short-term motivations and a long-term motivation to kind of help. Like for me, the short-term motivations is competing.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed that one tournament, and I plan on doing many more, just every few months. It's
So far you only
yeah, something
so far you only did the one.
correct.
Gotcha. Same here. I only did one since I've been training. I've done one tournament for tap cancer out back
Okay.
last year, and I plan on doing they have Grappling Industries next month, which I'm signed up for.
Okay.
Then they have Naga in I want to say March. Yeah, like March. So I'm registered for it, but I'm not like signed up. I'm not fully like signed up, committed to it yet. Kind of debating if I want to see how this first one goes this year. I mean next year, and then just kind of go from there. But I think I might just do it anyway.
Right. It doesn't usually hurt, you know?
Right. Yeah, because it's I look at jujitsu as like either you win or you learn. It's not necessarily like if I lose, it's the end all be all. Because I know I'm just gonna get back up and go back to training the next day and prepare for the what's next for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty much similar. I think the only time you really lose is if you don't take anything away from it, you don't learn from it, or um, you don't grow from the experience.
Yeah, definitely. No egos are ever good when it comes to jujitsu, if you ask me.
Yeah. I remember my old instructor, he didn't like us using that term win or lose. For me, it's just prescriptive. If you lose the drill, it's just a fact of life. I don't really didn't really see it as an ego thing. It didn't hurt my feelings to lose on the drills or to even lose a competition. It's just maybe it's just my weird personality quirk where I want to do well, but I also understand that I'm not going to win all the time. That as much as it would be cool to be like a world class champion and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
probably not ever going to be. So I just kind of want to enjoy the journey, enjoy the trials and the tribulations.
Yeah, I think that's one of the best parts about jujitsu, if you ask me, is that like learning. It's like there's never a moment where you don't learn something either about yourself or about the sport or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'm like that too. Like if I go out there, I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna give it give it my all. And if I win the tournament, I win it. If I don't, then I made some hell of a friends, and I'm gonna just keep moving. That's the best mindset that I can think of having when it comes to training, comes to competing, and just overall in jujitsu in general. It's just you know don't take losses or taps serious. If it happens, you learn from it, you keep going, you slap bumping, you just do it again.
Yeah.
So is your school, is it a big competition school or?
It's kind of in the middle.
Mhm.
I'd say about half or a little more than half are just kind of there for the self-defense aspect. But we also have quite a few, especially in the advanced classes, that are really interested in competing.
Gotcha.
I wouldn't say that he doesn't really encourage it or discourage it anyway, the coach,
Mhm.
but he's definitely very supportive if you want to compete. I think he has a philosophy of it. It helps you see where you are
Yeah.
when you're competing. You're competing with people with different styles from different schools, and so it's a really good way to get out of your comfort zone and to go up against people who have different training and different styles.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's kind of one of the ways that I feel like you can really test your merit when it comes to jujitsu is going to competitions, or if you go to open mats at different schools, not necessarily like to row to like to finish, but really sit down and see someone else's outlook on jujitsu versus what you have at your school, because you yeah, you really don't know unless you go out there and put it to the test.
Right.
So yeah, I that's I look at that when I competed, like this person don't know my game, I don't know his game. Only thing that we know for a fact that we both do jujitsu, and that's
Sure.
about far as it goes. Unless it's like a big stage where your name is out there, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty much just up in the air, really. So how often do you get a chance? Excuse me. How often do you get to train?
Let's see. Usually 3 to 4 days a week.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's not at all.
That's not bad.
I tend to prefer no gi over gi,
Mm-hmm.
and they offer it 2 days a week there. So I make those 2 days, and then uh, definitely the open mat session on the weekend. And then usually 1 or 2 days during the week that I'm in town, and so I decide that I'm just going to stick around and go to class.
Okay. Is there any particular reason why you prefer gi over no gi? Just curious.
For me, like I really, I guess I don't want to come off as disrespectful. Like I really respect people who are into who like the traditional aspects and stuff, and I totally understand the appeal. But I tend to be very pragmatic when it comes to stuff.
Uh huh.
And in the modern day, like clothes are there's such a variation in the stretchiness of clothes and the strength of clothes that I don't feel like it's really that effective to be going for like collar chokes and throws where you're using the person's jacket or shirt to try to throw them, because you don't know how strong that shirt actually is, how stretchy it is. You could grab someone's t-shirt and you think that it's a good quality, but then it just rips and
Mm-hmm.
you're stuck in a bad position. There's some throws, that if you lose that grip, then it's very easy for them to take your back. And so you just end up in a bad position. And I really don't want to get into the habit of trying to do that, try to work with someone's clothing against them, not knowing the quality the clothes that that person is wearing, if that makes sense.
No. Yeah. Of course. Of
So
course.
my big main long-term motivational goal is kind of self-defense and to have this knowledge that I can pass on to my son. That back in the day, martial arts were within the family. And fathers trained their or parents trained their children, and the children trained the grandchildren, and so on and so forth. And kind of my long-term motivation is I kind of want to bring that back.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
I want to. I do practice with him on the days that I'm home and I don't go to class. I'll still roll with my son a little bit. We'll still get some practice in.
And
And
how old is your son?
he's 9 years old.
Oh, okay. So y'all don't have a kids class?
They do. I take him at least twice a week,
Okay.
and like I said, it's not all that far. It's like I would say 5 to 10 miles to the school.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to drive that every day if I don't have to. So we usually just try to do 3 or 4 days a week, and the other days of the week we do stuff at home.
Okay. Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
it's also good. It's a really good bonding experience. I don't know if you do that with your kids or not.
I do. My
But
daughter, she is 7 now, and she started training jujitsu. So, we don't get as much time at home to do it because I've been really really busy these last couple months with the with training myself. Like, yeah, so it was like I had my brown belt test in October. I started this podcast in November, and I've been doing it since then. So it's just been like really really hectic. Like we go to classes 2 days a week and whatnot, but like at home we really don't get much time, but that is subject to change very very soon. And because right now I think she does it because she wants to be around me more. She do enjoy learning it, but I really want to see where her head's at, and see if this is something that she really wants to do. Is it just something that she's doing because I'm doing it? So it's a lot to kind of like process right now, so I'm just trying to like find time to be able to sit down and really do so, to see where to take it forward.
right.
So I don't know if you have any questions for me. I'm trying to think of anything else I can ask.
It's definitely like, when did you start? Did you start her at home, or did you just started with the classes?
She started it. kind of a little bit of both. When she was a little bit younger, we used to have kids class a couple years back, but I think like with COVID and everything, we stopped. But there would have been days there would be days where she'll come to class with me, and I'll just kind of like mess around with her, teaching her like the basic movements and stuff like that. But until like recently, when we brought back class and she actually officially joined, we've been going over our principles and rules, which is really important. Snakes and movements on the ground, terminology and stuff like that. So I kind of like quiz her on a daily basis when we're just like at home. I'll call her randomly, ask her a question like, "Oh, what's our 4 rules from top?" or "What's our 4 rules from bottom? What's your snakes? What's this and what's that?" And she's pretty on it. She gets annoyed because I ask her so much, but she started to like. I guess she started to understand like why I ask her so much, because when she goes to class, and my instructor will like ask like, "Hey, show what's the rule from top?" And she'll be like, "Ooh, I know that," and she'll start rambling them off, and she's like, "Oh, good job." And so her face lights up when she hears stuff like that. So I guess she's starting to get it a little bit.
That's good. See, with my kid, we started off in Taekwondo, and it was a very traditional school. And again, like, no disrespect to the people who do the traditional stuff, but I really don't think that those kind of traditional martial arts are good for kids. Like, it's kind of a chore for them to stand in one place and to have to do that and learn some of these things. Whereas Jiu-Jitsu, it's very much hand-on. I think it really mimics the kind of like rough and tumble the rough and tumble play that kids like to do, just on their own. He was. It was a good school, so I don't want to bash it. We enjoyed our time there. He made a lot of improvements in his self-control and his ability to stand in one place for a long period of time. But when I think back on it, I just think we probably would have been much better off if we had just gone straight to Jiu-Jitsu instead.
Right. I mean, it's a process. I've fumbled around different martial arts before I, settled on Jiu-Jitsu, and, just kind of piggyback off what you're saying, you want to be able to build like I guess you want to say like a family legacy, train your son, he'll eventually train your future grandkids and so on and so forth. And I'm that same way. Like I have 2 daughters, one's 7 and the other's 2 at this time. So once my 2-year-old gets old enough, she, eventually I will like for her to be in our, my jiu-jitsu classes as well. And, my wife trains as well. So I'm trying. I'm definitely trying to, like you said, get that family into it. I wish I could do it like the Gracies, but that's a little too much, a little too late for me. But,
right.
I do what I can. I do what I can.
Speaking of which, have you ever done the Gracie games with your kids?
No, I haven't. I haven't heard of that.
That's something we did, like in Gracie University. That's kind of how we started getting back into the Jiu-Jitsu. Is that during COVID, our Taekwondo dojo stopped their in-person classes. They kind of had to, and they switched to online, like the Zoom calls and stuff. And that just really made things worse because he really did not like that at all.
No, yeah.
So I started looking into alternatives for doing online classes because all of the schools were shut down by basically state order.
Yeah.
And so we came across Gracie University, and I try to think. You buy basically bundles of classes, and they're videos. And one of those was the Gracie games, and they're just a list of different games you can play with your kids, especially the little ones, that help them build kind of a dexterity and fundamentals, basically their foundation for being able to do the more complicated stuff later. And so we definitely recommend, especially if you have little kids, checking that out, because it's really fun games and stuff You can play with them. It's trying to remember any names of them. Like my son really loves a game called Crazy Horse,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically how to hold on the back mount when someone is trying to stand up or rolling around. And so you're basically are just doing that with your kid. You're rolling around, and they're holding on to you, trying to stay on.
You know,
So
I
it teaches them to get their hooks in, to get their arm around, and to grip, and hold on.
I think one of my training partners, I'm gonna have to ask him, but he got his son into training, and I know before we started kids class, he was I think he was doing the same thing. Now that I think about it, because that name Crazy Horse does sound familiar. Yeah, I think that's what that was. But no, I'm gonna have to definitely look into that.
I recommend it to everyone with small kids who's interested in it.
Right.
Basically, I think they recommend that you can get your kids in to start doing that stuff as soon as they're able to actually kind of walk.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you a way to play with your kids, but they're also learning something. So, as for kids, that's the best way to learn something is through games, through play.
Oh yeah. So, cause like yeah, when my daughter was, I think she was like 3 or 4. I was going over some like striking combinations, and she saw me, and no, back up a little bit. We had a women's self defense course a few years ago, and my daughter, I had my daughter there. She was about 3 at the time, 3 or 4, give or take. And she saw everybody punching the punching bags and everything, so she came over and asked for my gloves. I gave it to her, and she was like, punching the punching bag, and it's like, okay, well, she has the basics down. So every now and then, I definitely got to get back into that. But yeah, we would just go over different little striking drills, just to kind of give her something to do besides sitting behind her TV or her phone or her tablet all day. I'm like, no, just kind of have to keep your mind fresh and keep it young as possible. But yeah, we're definitely going to have to get back into doing that once the year starts, because I'll have more time. But
Right.
yeah, I highly recommend anyone who has kids to get them into something. I mean, I like the idea of, because everyone starts with karate. Everybody starts with karate. And it just takes that one time for a kid to get kicked in the face, and all that money goes down the drain.
Right.
I've seen it happen. I have a friend who kid went through maybe 3 or 4 different martial arts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they want to do kickboxing, they want to do karate, they want to do this, they want to do that. And every now and then I see that status update. It's like, they moving on to something else. And I'm like, let's try Jiu Jitsu. Bring them to class, let them try it out. It's not, it's not as rigorous. It can be, but it's not as rigorous as, karate or kickboxing, because you're not necessarily striking. But there's a lot of movement, a lot of rolling on the ground, a lot of this, a lot of terminology, a lot of, lessons and whatnot. But I highly feel like they could definitely benefit from that. So I've been kind of poking at that bear for a minute. So hopefully one day they'll bring their child in, and so they could definitely see the benefits of them training. So
Yeah, I definitely agree. That's kind of one of our rules is that he has to be doing some kind of martial art. And I'm trying to get him to try out different sports just to see if there's something that he likes. That way, just to kind of stay physically active.
mm-hmm.
Because if you enjoy it, you're much more likely to actually get out there and do this stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's funny that one of these young gentlemen I had the pleasure of talking to, his name is Bryce. I did an interview with him maybe a few weeks ago, and when I was starting this podcast, I just put on all of the different groups, as you saw, hey, I'm looking for guests to be on my jiu-jitsu podcast. his dad reached out to me and was like, hey, my son Bryce, he trains, he competes and everything else. I would love for you to, it would be honored for him to be on your show. So I was like, yeah, sure. Talk to him, very, very good kid, very, very knowledgeable for his age. And then that's when he revealed, like, yeah, my dad started training. And I was like, oh, isn't that something? I was like, I talked to your dad. He didn't even tell me. He's like, oh yeah, he's just kind of like, shy about it because it's just something that, he feels like if I'm doing it with them, that's something that we can connect more on, which I totally stand behind. And, that's what I feel like, your kid's supposed to do. You're supposed to push you and motivate you to want to be better and whatnot, because, especially at that age where they can comprehend everything, they definitely watching everything that you do.
Yeah.
And, when it comes to my daughter, I'm that same way. Like, I'm pushing myself to be better for her. I took her to my first tournament for that specific reason, because, obviously she looks at me as her hero, and I wanted her to see me at a vulnerable state, because I lost both matches, and she was looking like, Daddy, are you, what happened? I was like, well, Daddy lost. And she's like, oh no, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm good. And kind of gave her that life lesson, like, you don't win everything every time. It happens. You win some, you lose some. It is what it is. You can't let that defeat you. You can't let that, bother you as much. It's gonna hurt because you try something and it didn't go your way, so you're gonna have that sucky feeling, as I explained to her. But after a while, it just it is what it is.
Yeah, you kind of get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants to win, but when it's 1 versus 1, half people are going to lose, right?
Yeah.
So
it's bound to happen. Someone has to win. Someone has to lose.
Yeah, and you definitely don't want your kids or yourself to have your entire self-worth tied into the winning.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like always congratulate him just for trying. You do your best, still be proud of you. Doesn't matter if you win or lose.
Yeah, definitely. And like,
as long as you're getting better, as long as you're trying, that's the important part.
Mm-hmm. And like a few weeks ago, she was rolling with another kid, and she was, excuse my French, but she was whooping his ass.
Mm-hmm.
She kept control. She was, it was just like almost like she's been doing it for a long time. And she was like, she got the takedown. She was, making sure that, she was following her rules. And I was like, hey, make sure you follow your rules. And she was sitting there like, oh, I was like, where your knees at? So she'll, fix her knees. Where your elbows at? She'll fix that. And she'll, switch to this and switch to that, and just kind of like ride the wave. And she would do phenomenal. But, if she get, honestly, when she gets on bottom, she panics because it's nothing she's used to. So she would like struggle and grunt and yada yada yada, and then if it doesn't work out, she just break down, start crying because she's like, I couldn't get him off me, I was stuck, and blah blah blah. But those are those moments where I'm like, hey, it happens. It's not going to go your way every single time. You did good. I even showed her the video. I recorded it. I was like, look, you did a phenomenal job. There's nothing to be upset about. There's nothing to be disappointed in yourself about. You did a phenomenal job, and I'm proud of you. She's like, but Daddy, I couldn't get him off me. And I'm like, I point at the biggest guy in the room. Like, you see that guy over there? Half the time, I can't get him off me. But I'm still here doing it. And that's what you have to do. You have to just keep at it. You're going to get better to the point where they're not going to be able to keep you down. You be able to get up, and you be able to kick their butt, you be able to keep it moving.
Right.
And so she's like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Yeah, just gotta keep at it. Just keep at it."
That's kind of one of the things about the self-defense sport aspect of this, is that you can do what are the words I'm looking for? you can basically compete. You can beat someone who's much larger than you by using technique.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's, yeah, I'm not sure I don't remember exactly where I was going with that. I kind of lost my train of thought for a second.
Oh no, it's fine.
But,
But yeah, it's
but,
yeah, proper technique obviously is more important than strength and size, which is one thing that I still struggle with, but I'm still learning. Because you never stop learning in jujitsu. But yeah, I'll have those moments where it's like, man, I can't do this. I can't get this big guy off me. I'm always stuck in this position, yada yada yada. But it's like, you know what, man, just gotta keep driving forward. Just keep trying and keep putting forth that effort to get better. And yeah, like we were saying earlier, now that my daughter she majority of the time sitting right there watching me, I can't help but push myself to be so much better than what I'm already am.
right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so I have a tendency to have more of a problem with the smaller guys.
really.
And I try to roll with them as much as I can because like I try to use technique more than strength
Mm-hmm.
as much as possible. I try to, when I'm rolling with someone and it's not in a tournament, I try to try to match them with the strength that they're using. And I really like rolling with the smaller guys because I'm on the bigger side. And so one of my biggest weakness is speed. I'm not very fast. And so rolling with those smaller guys really pushes me to be faster.
Yeah. Now
So,
that's a good concept to have, but one thing I would suggest is not necessarily being faster than them, but slowing them down. It should be more
mhm,
important. Because if you try to match speed for speed with a small guy, you're just gonna burn yourself out.
yeah,
Like I've tried that. Like we have a couple young spunky guys in our class that's just, you know, they like to try to jump guard, they try to, spin and twist and jump and flip, and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm not doing all that with you. I'm not about to sit here and chase you across this mats. Like, nope, if you're in my guard and you're trying to break out and you jump out of my guard, I'm just gonna sit there. I'm like, nope, I'm not chasing you. I am not chasing you. I'm just gonna sit here
yeah,
and you're gonna come back, or we're just gonna be at a stalemate. So yeah, just gotta learn how to
that's similar,
slow your opposition down.
right? It's not. I wouldn't say so much that I'm chasing them around or stuff like that, but just trying to react,
Mm-hmm.
trying to shift your body fast enough to get into a position to block them,
Mm-hmm.
to stop them from passing. Um, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
I'm not necessarily trying to follow them around and keep up with them. Just trying to be fast enough to be defensive enough and be fast enough to put myself in that position before they move to the next one.
Oh yeah, but that yeah
But
that stuff it comes with time. It does sound like you have a good grasp of the concept for it, but yeah, that all stuff comes with time, man.
yeah,
But you're training 2-3 days, 4 days out of the week, man. But you're definitely you're definitely headed in the right direction. I tell you that much.
it's definitely. I mean, definitely got to be consistent and got to keep up the effort. I mean, the person that goes once a week is better than the person that goes 4 times in 1 week and then doesn't go back for a month.
Yeah, that's true.
So
That is definitely true. Like like you said before, being consistent is the main thing behind it. When I have these conversations with these underbelts, and they're like, man, I don't feel like I'm getting any better, man. I keep falling for these same setups and whatnot, and I keep falling for this and keep falling for that, man. What do I need to do? Well, you got to be consistent. You got to be consistent. That's the best way that I can explain it to anybody. You got to be consistent. You can't come to class 1 week. You do 2 days this week, and then you don't show up for 2 months, and then you come back and like, oh man, I don't know what's going on. Like, yeah, you have to show up. Jiu-jitsu is what you get what you put. You get out what you put in. So hopefully, whoever's listening to this, and the people that I've told, personally, they know they heed those words, because it shows. Like, the mat doesn't lie. The mats doesn't lie at all. Like, if you don't if you don't give it your all, it's going to show. If you give it your all, it's definitely going to show. But
Right.
it's just, like I said, it's just a concept that I try to teach anybody who wants to learn anything, really anything, not just a martial art, but just in life in general. Like, it's what you put out of it. If you just sit here and twiddle your thumbs wondering why you're never going to get good, you're never going to get good. But if you take that
Right.
step and actually put forth just the smallest amount of effort into something and be consistent about it, you have no choice but to get better. So, but yeah, man, if you have any other questions for me, man, by all means, fire away. I would definitely love for you to shout out your school. If you have any other competitions coming up or any events coming up at your school, by all means, man, the floor is all yours.
All right. Well, I've been looking. I definitely want to do more next year, but from my injury, I'm not sure exactly when I'm going to be able to get back into the full training. And I kind of want it to be at least about 8 weeks of training before the competition.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of have a list of all of the local competitions that are coming up, but I haven't really decided on one yet.
Gotcha.
I'm really interested in grappling industries. They come around here fairly often,
Mm-hmm.
and AGF, but I haven't been to any of theirs before, so I really don't know anything about them.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. Like I said, grappling industries coming here in January, and they just announced they'll be back in October. So I'm like, oh well, okay, well I guess I'll sign up for that one too. So definitely, I'm definitely in that same boat, man. I want to do as many tournaments as I possibly can next year, with funds allow it, but that's a little further down the line. But yeah, one of my goals is to do at least, I say, three tournaments this year. Oh, I'm sorry, not this year, but next year.
Right.
So I'm already 33% of the way there, because I'm doing one next, I guess you want to say, in like about a few weeks from now. Now that I think about it, it's it's the middle of December. Next week will be Christmas, and then right after that will be grappling industry. So it's definitely time to kick it up and really put the work in.
Yeah. Yeah. They say it takes about 8 weeks for you to peak when you start exercising or you start a new program.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, within 8 weeks is probably when you need to start hitting it hard.
Yeah. I've been definitely pushing it, man. I've been training three to 4 days a week. I've been going to the gym at least about three days out of the week. Try to do stuff at home too. And so I've been really, like I said, really been putting in that grind, man. It's just something about it that just been harking at me to get this weight down for one, and really focus and prepare for a tournament like I've never done before.
Cool. Do you have any what's the word? Specific exercises or routines that you do to get ready?
Honestly, right now, it's the funny thing about this year is, well, I keep saying this year, but I meant 2023. Me and my training partners, we are like the two highest ranked guys at the gym, and eventually we'll be kind of like taking on more responsibilities at the school. And he loves to teach. He wants to be a coach, and I'm like, well, I want to compete, and I need a coach. So, he's going to be my full-time coach going forward. It was kind of like one of those agreements that we had that we really didn't talk about. We just kind of been like, hey, I'm competing this year. You coaching? He's like, all right. So it just kind of happened. But yeah, he's going to be my coach going forward. And I hang on, besides my instructor, I hang on, his every word when it comes to jiu-jitsu, because he's very, very knowledgeable. He definitely knows a tons more about jiu-jitsu than I do. He's like leaps and bounds beyond me in knowledge, so I hang on to his every word when it comes to jiu-jitsu. And he's like, hey, what we focusing on? I'm like, hell, you tell me. So, like, you tell me what I need to focus on. You say, hey, we need to focus on takedown defense. That's where we're working. But as a strategy or a plan, just right now, just really training, being consistent in the gym and being consistent with myself on and off the mats. And once we do this tournament in January, I'm just gonna take whatever happened there and just build off of that and just keep it going.
Cool.
So very interested to see what jiu-jitsu is going to have in store for me this year. Well, I keep saying this year, but next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost there.
Yeah, it's almost there. So but you know what I mean.
Yeah. But kind of that same subject. Like one of the things that really helped me is that when I started trying out the different schools, I realized that my anaerobic capacity was pretty low. I was getting winded pretty quickly during the rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing interval training on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. And that helped a lot.
Nice. I try to do some stuff like that in the gym, but like the actual gym, I really don't have like I guess you want to say a tailored workout for jiu-jitsu, which I really think I need to find one, but yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, I think it really depends on what you feel your deficit in.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you don't have if you roll pretty often and you do the full however long your matches are going to be, 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
It's 5 minutes. So we've been working doing 5-minute matches, 5-minute rolls. Right. I mean,
so if you do that already, you probably don't really need to worry about it that much. If you don't feel like during the end of the 5 minutes giving full effort that you're winded or out, then you probably don't need it. But it's something that helped me when I first started. I was having trouble keeping up that consistent and full effort for the entire 4 minutes. Because I think that all the competitions, or the only competition I've done, I think my time was 4 minutes. My match is 4 minutes. So.
Gotcha. But yeah, I think for Grappling Industries for Brown is 5 minutes. So yeah, from here on out, that's all I'm going to be doing is just drilling and repping and rolling for for that time period. Just kind of just go to the max, balls to the wall for the 5 minutes, and then just take a little break and then just get back at it. That's what we've been doing so far, and it's I feel that is definitely improving. Had a little setback because I caught a cold over the weekend. I mean, like this last week. So recovering from that, and it was like, this couldn't have happened at a worse time, man. When I was like 3 weeks heavy going, just going consistent in the gym, and then boom, I get sick, and it's like, God. But
yeah, I think you're also more.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're more likely to get sick when you're losing weight. You're at a calorie deficit. So that's pretty common when you're losing weight to get sick more often.
Did not know that.
I just my ex-wife had bariatric surgery. And it's really, really noticeable when that happens, because if you're at a calorie deficit, your body just kind of starts shutting down the systems it doesn't need because it thinks you're starving to death. And so the immune system is one of the things that kind of starts getting weak first.
All right, I'm gonna have to take that in consideration, because I really did not know that, because this has been the first time I've gotten sick, like been this sick in a while. So,
right.
But oh yeah, man, I appreciate that little tidbit, man, because I literally did not know.
Yeah.
But
it kind of happened to me when I first started losing weight. I was it was kind of one of the motivation factors for me to get back into jiu-jitsu, like 13 years ago, something like that. as I was 265.
Yeah, I started around that size, 240. I think like 250, 255. I
Mhm.
think it was. But now I'm down to 219 last time I checked. So
It's pretty awesome.
yeah, I'm trying,
It's kind of a
man.
it's kind of a weird story because like I think I'd bought like a Wii Fit and I was messing with it, got on it, and it was like 265. And I'm like, no, that's no way. There's no way this is right. So I went out and bought a scale
Mm-hmm.
and weighed myself on it. It's like, yep, that's right. I'm 265, and it still didn't really hit me how big that was until I saw a picture of myself on the news,
Yeah.
and I realized, wow, I am the biggest person in that group.
Yeah, it's funny. One of my training partners, he's a mixed martial artist. And one of the memories popped up when I cornered him in his fight, and I think this was last year. Yeah, this had to be last year. And I'm looking at the pictures and the video of me, and I'm like, oh my god, dude, I was big as a fucking house. Like you said, you really don't know how big you are or how big you've gotten until you start looking at pictures and videos and stuff of yourself a year or a few months from from the day, and it's like, oh my god, dude, like how did I let myself get this way?
Right.
But yeah, it happens. This life, it is what it is, But yeah, that's the end of today's episode. I would like to thank my guest Beorn one more time for coming on and sharing his experiences with us. I hope you guys took something away from our tales and experiences. Please go and follow our Facebook and Instagram pages to stay up to date on all future episodes. This has been Talk Your Jits podcast. Keep rolling, keep grinding, and remember, long live Jiu Jitsu. Have a great day.